Hi everyone, this is Aaron here with a review of the iPhone 4S. So it looks like everyone was wrong and there actually is no iPhone 5. And this is kind of disappointing, but the big question is whether or not the iPhone 4S is good enough to keep us all satisfied for another year. Let's find out. So on the outside, the iPhone 4S is pretty much identical to the iPhone 4, save for the antenna positions. It's still the same sleek, glass-wrapped phone you saw last year, which is probably surprising to most who were expecting a 5. However, I think many people will agree that as of yet, no one has actually made a better looking phone. Enough about the outside though, the big changes are actually inside of the phone. The iPhone 4S now sports a dual-core A5 processor, still with half a gig of RAM, and this makes it pretty much identical to the iPad 2 in terms of power. It's definitely noticeable in more intensive applications, and games and programs that had major stuttering problems on my iPhone 4 were smooth as butter on my iPhone 4S. It still sports the same amazing 3.5-inch 960 by 640 IPS display, but compared to the iPhone 4, it has kind of a green tint. The iPhone 4 was more bluish and contrasty, and this one is less contrasty and kind of greenish yellow. Also improved is the camera, which was already one of the best cameras on a smartphone. It's been boosted from 5 megapixels with an f-stop of 2.8 to 8 megapixels with an f-stop of 2.4. And these improvements are definitely noticeable. These are flat out some of the nicest photos I've ever seen come from a smartphone. Low light performance is greatly improved, images are sharp, clear, and clean. On another note, the front camera has been improved too and can now record 1080p at 30 frames per second. The iPhone 4S, as predicted, for the iPhone 5 actually, is a global phone. It supports both hybrid GSM and CDMA, and in terms of reception, it's actually pretty decent. So Apple says that the phone switches between its two antennas now in order to provide better call quality, and I can't really tell if this is true or not, but I did seem to be getting more bars. It's still on 3G though, so browsing isn't too much faster than on the iPhone 4. They've claimed to have made some improvements, but it's still just slow when compared to LTE devices. In terms of battery life, Apple claims things like 8 to 14 hours of talk time, 200 hours on standby, and other huge numbers like that. All I can say is I've never had a problem with the iPhone's battery, while I've had problems with other smartphone batteries. After a day of heavy use, I still had battery and was confident that if I really wanted to, I could probably barely squeeze by the next day without charging. So the iPhone 4S is actually a really nice piece of hardware. But behind it you have some really nice software too. And that's iOS 5. I'm probably going to do a separate iOS 5 video, but here we'll go over some of the main features that really make the iPhone 4S experience. So iOS 4 has admittedly been looking older and older when compared to the information-y goodness at a glance that comes with Windows Phone 7 and Android phones. So it shouldn't be surprising when I say that iOS 5 makes a huge leap forward and once again puts the iPhone on top in terms of refined features. The big one that's an exclusive to the iPhone 4 is Siri, which Apple describes as a personal assistant. Siri works with nearly all of the iPhone 4S's pre-installed applications and lets you speak normally. You can access it by holding down the home button or unlocking the screen and holding the phone up to your face. You can ask it things like how many calories are in a bagel, and it'll ask Wiki and Wolfram Alpha for an answer. You can ask it things like stocks, you can tell it to text someone, call someone, make a reminder, a calendar event, a note, find a location, or even find a friend. You can even ask it if you need an umbrella today. So speech recognition has been around for a while, but Siri actually gets it surprisingly well most of the time, and it's actually pretty fun to use. It's not a huge leap from things that Windows Phone 7 and Android can do with voice, but it's definitely more integrated into the system than any of those other operating systems. It's really great for taking quick notes and setting really quick reminders when your hands are tied, and it's really as simple as holding the phone up to your face. In iOS 5, you also now got notifications that show up on your lock screen. You can swipe to go right to the app. These notifications are also in the notification panel where you can see your appointments, stocks, weather, etc. And with iOS 5, you can now access the camera from the lock screen for really quick photos. Some other features include iCloud, wireless syncing, and more. And so those are just a few of the features in iOS 5, and there will be a separate video for that, but it's a big part of what makes the iPhone 4S so great. So should you get it? That really depends on what phone you have now. iPhone 4 users may not really have a good reason to upgrade to the iPhone 4S. It's really a marginal gain if you're looking at the benefits versus the cost, unless you really like Siri. But if you have something below an iPhone 4 or you're coming from another platform, now may be a very good time to do it. It might not be a revolutionary redesign like the iPhone 4 was from the 3, but there's never been a better time to update with iOS 5 out now too. Overall, the iPhone 4S is beautifully designed, and coupled with both hardware that's really powerful and software that's really powerful, whether it's worth the upgrade really depends on what phone you have now. So that's my review of the iPhone 4S. Thanks for watching, and be sure to rate and subscribe.